بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Before we begin, there's some sisters upstairs that are trying to listen to the lesson, and there's a lot of aunties who are talking. So just a request, either the aunties can stop talking for the lesson, or the side room, there shouldn't be any men in the side room. Any men who are upstairs in the side room, please come downstairs immediately. Any men upstairs in the side room, please come downstairs immediately. Alhamdulillah, we finished the fiqh of salah and the fiqh of wudu and tahara and other issues, bismillah. And today we're going to try to take the whole of fiqh of zakah. I'm going to try, inshallah, if we can. But quickly, just before we do start, how many conditions of wudu? Yeah. Conditions of salah. Conditions of salah. Sure. Yes, 9. Pillars of salah. Obligations of salah. That's one. Obligations of salah. You not revised, have you? Huh? 8. How many nullifiers do we mention? If you mention 5, Shaykh Ibn Baz mentioned 6. Good. Obligations of wudu. Obligations of, what did I say? I asked him nullifiers of salah, wudu. Oh, sorry. That was nullifiers of. Okay. That's wudu. Sorry, I thought that's for wudu. Okay. Go on, alright. Nullifiers of salah then. The A in the book, khalas, A in the book. Obligations of salah. So I'm getting my questions mixed up, sorry. I meant obligations of wudu, sorry. Obligations of wudu. No. You give the answer. Well, you kind of give the answer. No. That's nullifies. Obligations of wudu. Six. And what are they? That's nullifies. Obligations, yeah. Forget muscle, no, say face. Yeah. That's 4. That's 4 body parts. Just making stuff up now. You got 4 out of the 6. Pass in, double and pass the next person. Musa, finish off. Yeah, order. Yeah, time wala. Not time gap so that it dries. Okay. Come on, you guys to rise better. How many? See, I'm only asking you the numbers right now. I'm not even asking you what they are. Numbers is the easy one, easy part. Right, Riyadh. How many reasons for suicide? واضح. Increase, decrease, have that. Okay. Types of najasa. Types of najasa generally. واضح. Moderate, light, and severe. What's the severe one? The dog. Okay. Different types of auras. Yeah, so 3. Give me an example for the moderate one. Yeah, navel to knee plus the shoulders. Yeah. I think we talk about shoulders. Remember when I talked about so t-shirts and rolling up sleeves and things like that? What's the ruling on wearing a t-shirt in Salah? T-shirts are fine. T-shirts generally, even with a tie or even t-shirts, you shouldn't be wearing those. It's not the most like respective thing, but it's permissible. What can definitely not be tight is obviously what you're wearing from your navel to your knee. Better to cover the shoulders. No, yeah, but t-shirt you're covering the shoulders. That's why it's permissible. That's why it's fine. It'll be those tank tops that you shouldn't be wearing during Salah. What's the ruling on saying Allahu Akbar when going from standing to sujood? Close to a pillar. It's an obligation. Takbirat al-Haram is pillar. Good. Hamza, how many rulings of I see Hamza and start smiling, mashallah. Right. Hamza, how many rulings of moving in Salah there? 5, good. Okay, let me give you an example. You tell me what it is, yeah? I saw a gap in the Salah in front of me, so I took a step and I filled that gap in. Recommend it, good. Okay. Definitely to the side as well. How do you pray the rain prayer? Huh? Yeah, 2 rakats. Similar, it's a bit like Eid, so a few extra takbirat. Okay, how do you pray eclipse prayer? Full. I just got 2 rukus. What do you mean 2 rukus? Two rukus in each rakat. So you stand up, you recite Allahu Akbar, ruku', get up, recite again, ruku' again, and then carry on like normal. Yeah, so 4 times. Each time you read a bit less generally. If you read a bit more, it's not like going to break your salah, but yeah. What's the ruling on? Okay, just give me the nullifiers of wudu. Nullifiers of wudu. You don't need a sheet. Lost it completely? Yeah. Okay. Nzil. Said, what do you say about that one? Correct opinion is that it's not. Type of food. Type of food. And living Islam, good. Somebody asked a question last week regarding if you touch your private parts accidentally, let's say you change your clothes or something, does it break your wudu? I double checked and yeah, so I asked a couple of our teachers and they said yeah, if you look at the hadith, it doesn't differentiate between, whether it's on purpose or not, so it would break your wudu. It would break your wudu even if it is accidental. Maybe some ulama that say, oh, because it's accidental, it's looked over. But what's like apparent from the hadith is that it doesn't differentiate between whether it's intentional or not. Conditions of wiping over the socks. Qasim. So you're wearing it whilst you're in a state of wudu? No. I mean, the points you mentioned are right, but some are not conditions. You just mentioned some rulings pertaining to wiping those socks. They're not conditions. Musa? Why change state of tahara? Good. Okay, that's that then. So timing. If you're resident, 24 hours, traveling 72. Take it if it doesn't break your wudu, then you can't wipe over it again. You can't put it back on the wipe. Okay. That's not a condition though. I've got around the board now, yeah. Look, firstly, you have to be clean, you can't make anything najis or anything like that. Secondly, you have to wear it whilst in state of wudu, as you just mentioned. It's only for wudu, it's not for a shower. You have to cover most of the feet and then the timing. And then these are some extra points. So memorize at least these 5 conditions. Okay? Now some of them may not put so much conditions on that, but you guys memorize it as 5 conditions, okay? How do you do tayammum? No sure. There's one. How do you tayammum? Tayammum. Yeah, but how do you do it? Good. So you say Bismillah, make your intention, and then you hit the soil once, and then you just wipe your face and then the top of your hands. Right. I'm not going to spend too much time on the revision. We've taken a lot. Does it matter which hand you do first? No, it doesn't. There's a lot of stuff I didn't ask. I didn't ask you about Sunnah al-Fitr and a few other things. Make sure you guys revise properly. I'm actually going a bit easy on the revision. The new students, they don't know it, the new students. Right. Maybe next lesson, I'll be a bit strict on the revision. But today, let's start Kitab al-Zakah, bi'ithnillah, because I want to try to finish all of Kitab al-Zakah today. Right, okay. Now, Kitab al-Zakah, also I'm going to ask if the questions we left at the end, until the end, just so that I can finish it, inshallah. Oh yeah, there were a couple of questions, Okay. In regards to washing the hands when waking up at night, and also the nose as well, it's something that you should do. I think you mentioned the nose as well, which is good. You should do. The ulama do differ whether it's obligatory or not. For now, let's just say it is. So you should be washing your hands and also your nose as well. But then the question which was asked, that if somebody does wudu, is the wudu accepted or not? And asked some ulama, they said, yeah, the wudu is accepted. The wudu is accepted. So that's fine, inshallah. The wudu is fine. There was another issue. Was there another issue? That was the only one? There was the issue of touching private parts accidentally. I've got to check that one. No, text me that one and I'll check, inshallah. Yeah. You can do that normally. Okay. Az-Zakah. Az-Zakah is the third pillar of Islam. So we've talked about the first pillar of Islam, we've talked about the second pillar of Islam, and now we're on the third pillar of Islam. Now, Zakah is of two types. The first is, it says, we'll stick to what the English says. So the first one is Zakat al-Fitr. Now, Zakat al-Fitr is an obligation upon every single person. In the Zakat that we give at the time of Eid, it's an obligation of every single person, male, female, old, young, free, slave, and so on. So even the children have to pay it as well. And if a woman is pregnant, then it's mustahab, it's recommended to also give on behalf of that fetus as well. Now, obviously the children, they're not going to pay for their own money. The way it works is that the leader of the household, most of the time is the father, he just pays for everyone in that household. So whoever is he's obliged to look after, then he would pay on their behalf. And you are allowed to pay on somebody else's behalf if you want to as well. A couple of times Shaykh Haytham Sarhan, he would message us saying that he paid the Zakat al-Fitr. We said no. He goes, alright, I paid for it, don't worry. So it is permissible to do that as well. That is Zakat al-Fitr. The other type, and this in Zakat al-Fitr is also known as Zakatu Badanin. Zakatu Badan. It's also known as Zakatu Badan in the books of Fiqh. And we're going to talk a bit more about it, inshallah, when we come to the next pillar of Islam, fasting. We'll talk a bit more about it. But the reason Zakat al-Fitr is legislated is for two main reasons. The first is so that the poor have something to eat during the day of Eid. And secondly, so that it is a form of expiation for any deficiencies that may have taken place in the month of Ramadan and in our actions. So for example, Ramadan just went by. There were times where sometimes we fell into sin, or there were times where we didn't do the obligations properly, and so on. So there may be some deficiencies. So one of the ways to fill in those deficiencies was to give Zakatu al-Fitr. The other type, no, the poor wouldn't have to pay. No, the poor wouldn't have to pay. Zakatu Mal. Zakatul Mal is the zakah of wealth, which is the zakah that we have to give every single year. Okay, so this is the main one. Now, the difference between the two is that both of them are obligatory. However, Zakatul Mal, Zakat of wealth, that is the pillar of Islam. That one is the pillar of Islam. Whereas Zakatul Fitr is not a pillar of Islam, but it's still obligatory. Okay, so just like fasting, Ramadan is obligatory, and let's say fasting 6th of Shawwal, that's also a type of fasting. Okay, but which one is the pillar of Islam? Ramadan. So when you say the fourth pillar of Islam is fasting, we don't mean fasting on Mondays and Thursdays. We don't mean fasting on the 6th of Shawwal and so on. You mean the month of Ramadan. But the rest still have their rulings and so on. In terms of Zakat, the Zakat al-Fitr is still obligatory, but it's not a pillar of Islam. The pillar of Islam is Zakat al-Mal, which is the yearly Zakat that we give. It's obligatory on every Muslim who has reached the amount to pay. The amount in Arabic is called nisab. The amount in Arabic is called nisab. In English they translate it as threshold. In English they translate it as threshold. Okay, so that's how you spell it, nisab. So nisab is basically the minimum requirement that if you reach that amount, then you have to pay the zakah. It's obligatory upon you. For example, I'm going to make up a number. Let's say it's £1,000. If you only have £900, you don't have to give zakah. Once you hit £1,000, then that's when you have to give zakah. Now there are other conditions. So for example, from those conditions, is that if you've hit the nisab, you have to be over that nisab for at least a year. In the Hijri calendar, not in the Gregorian calendar, Hijri calendar. So for example, let's say you get paid today, so you get 1,500, but then in a week's time it's gone down to 500. You spent it on wherever, and that keeps happening, because you're spending on things that you need, so that keeps happening. So it keeps going up and down, up and down, up and down. You don't have to give zakah because you've not had the money over the threshold for over a year. The only exception to waiting for a year is if the zakah that you give on crops. The zakah that you give on crops, you don't have to wait for a year, but we're going to talk about that in a second. It says, there is no zakah until the amount has been sitting for a year, so that's what I just mentioned, except the zakah of that which grows from the earth and that which grows and increases. Grows and increases basically means that, let's say you've got 1,500, and then a week later you've made a bit more money, you've gone to 2,000, and a week later you've made 500 more, it's gone to 2,500. Yeah? Now you get into 2,500 came 2 weeks later. So when is zakah due? Is it 2 weeks before, and then you have to pay that £1,000 2 weeks later? No, that increase is included in the initial zakah. So it's not like every pound has a different day that you have to pay. As long as you're over the nisab, you have a date that you have every single day that you pay. Most people choose Ramadan because it's just easier to remember. It's not a condition for it to be Ramadan, but it's easy to have people choose it because it's easy to remember. That day comes, whatever you have, you give zakah on it. One chooses a day in the year to pay the zakah. It is divided into 4 categories. I.e., there are 4 things that you give zakah on. So what do we give zakah on? On 4 things. At the end. At the end. At the end. No. 4 things you give zakah on. The first is merchandise. Merchandise basically means all the property, all the things that you have for buying and selling. All the products that you have for buying and selling. So you got a business, everything. Let's say you got a shop. Everything in the shop, you calculate how much that is and you give zakah on that. Okay. If you've got something and it's not for buying and selling, then it wouldn't come under this. Wait 1 second. Is it end of the lesson? No, wait till the end of the lesson. Number 2, that which grows from the earth. That which grows from the earth, grains and fruits. So it's not all types of fruits. It's those fruits that don't get messed up. So you wouldn't do it on like apples, because apples just get messed up after a week or something like that. That's why they use the word Arabic thimar. They don't use the word fawakih. Okay, but basically what comes out of the earth. The third is animals that graze freely. So animals here in Arabic they call bahimatul an'am. Bahimatul an'am are 3 types of animals: camels, cows, and sheep. So if you have a horse, would you give zakah on it? No, you wouldn't. So camels, cows, and sheep. Okay. So that's the first thing. they have to be from Bahimatul An'am. The second is that they graze freely, meaning they themselves, you just let the animal go and it'll go graze in the farm by itself. And that grazing should be done for either an entire year or most of the year. So if it just did it as a one-off, it would come under that type of animal. And the last thing that you give zakah on is gold and silver. Gold and silver, and anything which takes the ruling of gold and silver, which is basically the currency that we have now. So the currencies we have now takes the ruling of gold and silver. Now, if it was gold, what's the threshold for gold? 85 grams. And what's the threshold for silver? 595 grams. Okay? Originally, they say gold is 20 mithqal, and silver is, I think, 200 dirham. Yeah, but if you convert it, that's how much it is now. So gold and silver, either gold equivalent to 85 grams, or silver equivalent to 595 grams. Let's say I want to make up numbers, right? Let's say gold 85 grams is £1,000. Okay, and let's say silver is, let's just say £800. Okay, that's how much 595 grams of silver comes to now. Obviously they keep changing, but let's say that's what it is right now. I have £900, and let's say that's over the threshold. Would I have to give zakah on this gold and silver? What if I have money instead? Why? It's not reached. It's currency, but what? It's okay. It's past silver, but it's not reached the amount for gold. You rather? Okay, yeah, you go with what's less. You go with whichever one is less. So let's say gold's price went down or whatever, and then it worked out this certain year it was the other way around. Okay. Let's say it was the other way around, and gold was £800 and silver was 1,000. Doesn't matter. Whichever one is lower, as soon as you hit that, then you give zakah. Why? Because that's better for the poor person. That's better for the poor. Okay. That's what you give zakah in. The next issue is, who do you give zakah to? Now there are 8 types of people that you give zakah to. All of them are mentioned in one ayah in the Quran, in Surah At-Tawbah, إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها, till the end of the ayah, which is ayah number 160. Surah At-Tawbah, ayah number 160. So if you just read that ayah, you'll see all 8 types of people who are given zakah. So who are these 8 types of people? The first 2, Allah says, إنما الصدقات, sadaqat he is referring to zakah, للفقراء والمساكين, somebody who's a faqir and a miskin, the poor and needy. The poor and needy. Now somebody may say, is there a difference between poor and needy? We say that from those words, when they are together, they have a slightly different meaning. But if they mention separately, they have the same meaning. So if I just said, go find a miskin and give him some charity, then I mean the same thing, miskin or faqir. If I said, go find a faqir and give him charity, it would mean the same thing. But if I say in one sentence together, now I would say, give it to a faqir, don't give it to a miskin, then there's a slight difference. So what is that slight difference? The slight difference is a person who is poor, faqir, he has less than half of what he needs. He has less than half of what he needs. Whereas a needy, a miskin, has more than half, but he doesn't reach the amount that he needs. So still not enough, but it's more than half. For example, they need £1,000 to live, for rent, food, everything. Okay? If a person has 400, what is he? He's the first one. He would be a faqir. Why? Because he has less than half, less than 500. If a person had 800, he would be a miskin. He has more than half, but still not enough. Still not enough. In summary, they're both the same. In summary, both poor. They don't have enough. Yeah? Okay. And I shall give an example here with 12,000, 6,000, and so on. The third types of people, Allah says, وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا, those that act upon zakah, i.e., those people who distribute, those people who work on zakah, i.e., they collect the zakah, they distribute the zakah, or whatever. Yeah, because when you're given zakah, do we physically go to the poor person, or do we give money to somebody else? Right, now that person that gives out zakah, he is entitled to take some money from that zakah. He is entitled according to what he needs to do that job. For example, he needs to take a plane to another country because that's why they're giving the zakah. That plane ticket can be covered with zakah money. Okay, because it's not fair if he's doing he's doing a good act, and then you say to him, okay, on top of that, you got to pay for your own tickets. But they can be expensive, right? And then he's going to pay for how many days he's there, the food and the rent and the taxi and everything. So he is allowed to take according to however much is needed. Okay, but then he's not allowed to take any like gifts or anything like that for that job. Even if the person's rich, he is allowed to take some for whatever his expenses are. The fourth is to attract the hearts of those who have been inclined towards Islam. وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةِ قُلُوبُهُم. Allah says, مُؤَلَّفَةِ قُلُوبُهُم. This is referring to those people who are either close to accepting Islam, so you can give them a bit of money from zakah so that they enter into Islam, or there's somebody they are harming Muslims and Islam, so you can give them a bit of money to prevent them from the harm. So let's say there's a person, he's always harming Muslims, making it hard, like he's not allowing them to come to the masjid or whatever it is. You can give him a bit of zakah money so that he stops harming the Muslims. Because the whole point of this is that there's benefit for Islam in this. Okay? The fifth is to free captives. Basically, if there's a Muslim who's a captive or a slave, you are allowed to use zakah money to buy him and free him. But if your own slave, you had him as a Muslim, you can't say, oh, time to give zakah, right, I'll free him. And that's my zakah. No, that doesn't count. Okay? We don't need to talk about it too much because there's no slaves now. Those in debt. Okay? Those in debt, if there's a need, a person is not able to pay the debt and he's struggling and it's causing issues and so on, then you can't help a person pay that debt. Not any debt, like let's say a person's got 10 years to pay and so he's just paying it, and not that type of person. Somebody who's struggling and needs to, you can help him pay off that debt. Number 7 is for Allah's cause, i.e. those people who are fighting in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number 8, it says for a traveler who is cut off from everything. In Arabic, this is known as Ibnu as-Sabil. Ibn as-Sabil literally translates to the son of the path. What that basically means is a person may be rich. You could be a rich person. You're traveling. Now imagine, especially back in the day. Okay? Or let's say even now, you're traveling in a taxi. And in the middle of nowhere, you're traveling in a car and your car breaks down in the middle of nowhere. Or somebody comes and steals from you. And he's taken all your belongings. You are allowed to give that person zakah money enough to allow him to reach home. Okay? So if you need to, let's say his car's broken down. Okay, he's just stuck there. You can pay me for a taxi that will take him home or something like that. Okay? So these are 8 types of people that you can give zakah to, all mentioned in that one ayah in Surah At-Tawbah. It says it is permissible to only give to one of these 8 categories. Meaning, it's not a condition that, let's say you've got £1,000 of zakah money, or let's say £800 of zakah money. You don't have to give 100 here, 100 there, 100 there, to all 8 types of people. If you just choose one, like let's say there's poor people, and you just distribute it amongst the poor, and you don't give it to the others, that's fine. It's any of these 8 categories. It is not allowed to give the zakat to the rich, nor to a strong person who can earn money. So if somebody is poor, but the reason he's poor is he's just lazy. He's not gone to look for a job, he can't be bothered, he's not putting in any effort whatsoever, don't give that guy money. You tell that guy, get up and go work, make your own money. And he's able to. Okay? But if a person is not able to, then that's the poor person you give it to. Likewise, it's not allowed for the family of the Prophet ﷺ, the Ibn Hashim and their servants. You see, so the family of the Prophet ﷺ, you don't give them zakah. You give them sadaqah, but you can't give them zakah. Sayyid, yeah. Nor is it allowed to be given to those whom one is obliged to spend on at the time of giving zakah. So, what that basically means is that, let's say you have a son or a daughter, it's obligatory upon you to take care of them anyway. So you can't turn around and be like, oh, instead of me giving them money, let me give them zakah money. No, it's obligatory upon you to take care of them anyway. Okay, so you can't give them zakah. As for other relatives, then those you can give them zakah, because right now it's not obligatory upon you. They're not living with you and your family. They're not your direct son and child. So let's say you got a cousin, okay, and their family is poor. You can give them zakah, because it's not obligatory upon you to look after them like it is with your own children. And then it says to non-Muslims, i.e. you can't give zakah to non-Muslims. You give them sadaqah, you can't give them zakah, unless they come under al-mu'allafati qulubuhum. The voluntary charity is allowed for those and other than them. However, it is better to give it wherever greater benefit is. So these people that we just mentioned that you can't give them zakah, you can give them sadaqah. You can give them voluntary charity. So what's the difference between zakah and sadaqah? Zakah is what's obligatory, and there's rulings pertaining to it. Certain things that you give zakah on, certain amount which is obligatory, certain people that you can give to. Whereas sadaqah, you can give whatever you want to whoever you want. Okay? But it's always best to give it to whatever the benefit is greater. So that's why generally, even when zakah is given, and likewise when you do udhiyah, sacrifice and so on, that meat, money, sadaqah, it should always be given to the local community first. Why? Because you'll get the reward of obviously the charity itself. Then if the relatives, you get the reward of looking after your relatives on top of that. Local communities, you'll get the reward looking after your neighbors and so on. But if there is a need to give it elsewhere, then you give it elsewhere as well. Right, we finished from most of that's zakah, that's like simple zakah done. Okay, but now we're just going to get into a bit more detail with some things, and this part is interesting and it's a bit confusing. You do like, if you don't revise this for a while, you do end up forgetting. Okay, sometimes I even forget this, but it's interesting. And there's going to be not right now, but in about 10-15 minutes, a bit of maths is going to be involved. Now, so when the maths come in, Qasim don't answer. Let everyone else try to work it out, okay? Maths teacher, and it's not fair to ask the maths teacher to work out maths. Okay. If we need you, then we'll call you as a lifeline if we need your help. Take it? Right. Now, back in the day, they never used to have banks and money the way we have. They would have cattle, camels, cows, and so on. Right. You have to. Didn't we just say you have to give zakah on bahimat al-an'am, those animals? Okay. How much? This is what we're going to work out now. So it's quite interesting. Before we get into all of that, just some important definitions that you need to learn. Okay? Right now, I just want you to pay attention with me. Okay? Don't read all of this. Don't waste your time reading all of that right now. Just read the bold part. The first 4 words are basically names of camels. And the Arabs were very, very precise. The Arabs were very, very precise when it came to naming things. So each camel, when I say it's a name of a camel, we're not even talking about types of camels or anything, that just the age itself, they would have a name for it. The first is Bint Makhad. Bint Makhad is a camel which has reached the age of 1 and not reached the age of 2 yet. Then you have Bint Laboon, which has reached the age of 2. Then Hiqqa, age of 3. And then Jaza'a, age of 4. Just keep that in mind. Bint Makhad, Bint Laboon, Hiqqa, Jaza'a. Bint Makhad, Bint Laboon, Hiqqa, Jaza'a. Bint Makhad, Bint Laboon, Hiqqa, Jaza'a. Just keep that in your head. If you memorize in order, you memorize the ages as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now if you want to read it, let's read it. Okay. Bint Makhad. Makhad, Bint means daughter of. Okay? Makhad means labor pains. Okay? The reason for that is because they say because it's like a new, this is the age where the mother is normally pregnant. That's why they will refer to that type of, that age as Bint Makhad. Bint Laboon, Laboon is from the word Laban, which is milk. Okay? So it's given that name because that's where mom has a lot of milk. And Hiqqa, you don't need to know the Arabic behind it. It is written there. It's called Hiqqa because that's the age where you can have relations. And Jaza'a, that's the age where the front teeth start to fall. That's the reasons for it. But all you guys need to know is Bint Makhad is a she camel which is in its 2nd year. Like in the 2nd year, it's reached the age of 1. So it started the 2nd year. Yeah? And then the same with all of the rest. Okay. So these are these 4. Like I said, you don't need to know the definition of the stat, just know the number. Bint Makhad, 1 year. Bint Laboon, 2 years. Hiqqa, 3 years. Jaza'a, 4 years. The next 2 are 2 types of baqar, cows. We have tabi' or tabi'ah, which is a cow which is the age of 1. And then you have musinna or musanna, which is the age of 2. These are cows. So 4 camels and 2 cows. Okay, so memorize these terminologies. So you have bint makhad, bint labun, hiqqah, jaza'ah, tabi' or tabi'ah, and a musanna. Yeah? Bint makhad, bint labun, hiqqah, jaza'ah, tabi' and musanna. Okay. Everyone got that? So I'm going to say a number. I'm going to say the animal and the number. You tell me what's the name. Okay? So a cow which is 1 year old. Tabi'. A camel which is 3. Hiqqah. Camel which is 1. Bint makhad. A cow which is 2. Musanna. Okay, other way around. Bint labun is camel which is 2. Jaza'ah. Hiqqah. Tabi'ah. Bint makhad. Musanna. Okay, good, right. Okay, now just before we get into the interesting maths, this is a quick chart which just summarizes everything basically. We're going to go right to left because I know English is left to right, but the book's in Arabic, and the way the Shaykh does it is that when we translate it, he just whatever the Arabic says, you just take that out and put the English in. So he just put it in the same way without really changing it. Sometimes it's easy to change it, but sometimes you have to change the whole formatting, which is long, so he just doesn't do it. Okay, but we'll go this way. So when it comes to Bahimatul An'am, we're gonna talk about its rulings on the next chart. Don't worry about it. Okay. That which grows from the earth is you have to have at least 900 kg of it. And how much do you give? If those crops that you have, if you don't do anything and it just automatically gets watered by rain and things like that, then you give 10% of zakah on it. If you physically have to go and work on it, then you give 5% zakah. If it is both, where naturally there's a lot and sometimes you have to do a bit as well, then it says here 0.075. Is that 7.5%? Qasim? Yeah? 7.5. It's 7.5, isn't it? Yeah. 7.5%. So simple terms, by itself, 10%. Both, 7.5. You, 5. It is. You times about 100 to get the percent, so you move decimal point 2 point. I was good at maths in school. I did A-level maths as well. Well, I didn't finish it because I went to Medina, but I was doing it. Right. Currencies, we just talked about 85 grams of gold or 595 grams of silver, and merchandise, we talked about it as well. So even here, look, according to that which is the interest of the poor, gold or silver. What does that mean, interest of the poor? Whatever is lower, in terms of nisab, do we look at how much is it, gold or silver? Whichever one's lower. As soon as it hits it, we give it. 0.025 is 2.5%. Right. Let's go to this graph. This graph, we're going to have a lot of fun with this graph. Okay. This graph basically has summarized, and honestly it's an amazing graph. I remember when doing Manhaj al-Salikin. Manhaj al-Salikin is written out, and the ahadith are written out, and it's like just lines of all of these numbers, and it gets probably confusing. The Shaykh has done it in such a nice way, this graph. Okay? So you just keep this graph with you and you memorize this graph. You have to memorize the graph. There's no way about it, where if you got this to this much, you have to give this much. There's nothing I can do except, there's not even much explanation, it's just memorize it. Yeah? Let's start with sheep and goat. Right? If you have sheep, if you have less than 40 sheep, you don't have to give zakah. So 39 or less, you don't give zakah. It starts from 40. Right, how much do you give? If you have 40 to 120 sheep, you give one sheep. If you have 121 to 200, you give 2 sheep. If you have 201 to 300, you give 3 sheep. Right? So quickly, if I have 59 sheep, how many? 1. If I have 150, If I have 123. If I have 250. 60. Alright, simple, okay. Then he says, then after 100 sheep, 1 sheep. Meaning after 300, every time you hit 100, you give 1 sheep. So if you have 400, how many sheep? 4. I was going to say 1000, 1,000? 10, yeah. What do you say? Okay. 800? 1,500? Okay. 450? 4. That extra number, they call it waqs. Waqs is like the extra number that you don't have to. You just ignore. What's that in English? The remainder. Yeah, it's the remainder. It's that remainder you just ignore. Okay? That's ma'fu and it's forgiving, you have to give zakah on it. So if I have a 999, 9. Okay. Sheep and goat is simple. Now camels, it gets interesting. If you have 4 or less, you don't have to give zakah on camels. So it starts with 5. 5 to 9, if you have 5 to 9 camels, you give 1 sheep. Because camels are expensive, so you're not gonna. If you got 5 camels, you're not gonna give a camel. You're gonna give a sheep instead, right? 10 to 14, 2 sheep. 15 to 19, 3 sheep. 20 to 24, 4 sheep. So far we're going up in 5s. Yeah? Now, those definitions we need. If you have 25, now it's going with 10s, yeah? Or it's going with 4s before, yeah? Now, if you have 25 to 35, you have to give bint makhab, which is 1 year. If you have 36 to 45, you give bint laboon, which is the 2-year-old. If you have 46 to 60, hiqqah. If you have 61 to 75, jaza'ah. Don't worry, this part gets confusing you and I forget. Okay? Don't worry about it. You just have to try your best to memorize it. Okay. And then if you have 76 to 90, 2 bint laboon. 91 to 120, 2 hiqqah. 121 to 129, 3 bint laboon. Okay? You just have to know, you just have to memorize it. Okay? So just quickly, you can look in. I don't mind if you look in right now. Okay? If I had 70 camels, what would I give? Jaz'ah. Yeah? If I had 99, 2 hiqqas. If I had 26, 1 bint makhad. Okay. Now it gets interesting. Right. Here is where you have to start working things out. After 129, basically after 130, keep 130 onwards, is where you start working it out yourself. Everything before that you just memorize. This much, that's it. Now you start working it out. For every 40 that you have after that, you give 1 bint laboon. And for every 50, you give a hiqqah. Okay? Now you work it out now. So you get a number, and that number you work out. Do you use bint laboons to get to that number? Do you use hiqqas to get to that number? Do you use a combination of them to get to that number? However you get to that number, that's how many bint laboon or hiqqas you give. Now if the number has, like, let's say it's 155, the extra 5, because this is only working in 10s. After this, 40s and 50s is only working in 10s. You're going to have a remainder. That remainder, 1 to 9, is waqs, and you don't have to give zakah on it. Okay? So let's go through it. If I had 140, I'll do the first one. And then the second one you guys do. 140, how do you get to 140? You would say, right, 2 hiqqas and 1 bint laboon. 2 hiqqas, 2 50s is 100, plus 40 is 140. That's how, so using 40 and 50, you have to get to that number. And you can always get to that number. Using 40s and 50s. So I would give 2 hiqqas and 1 bint laboon. If I had 150, right, you tell me, it's easy. 3 hiqqas, 50 times 3. Okay, 160. 4 bint laboons, because 4 times 4, 16. So 40 times 4 is 160. Right. Is that making sense? No, forget the previous ones. Whatever number you get, just work it out now. After 130, you just work it out. You just work it out yourself. Okay, 170 then. Not 4 bint laboon. 3 bint laboon and 1 hiqqa. 3 bint laboon is what? 120. And 1 hiqqa is plus 50 is 170. Okay, 180. 2 hiqqas and 2 bint laboons. 50 50 is 100, 40 40 is 80, 180. Alright. Play a tricky one now. 200. You can choose either 4 hiqqas or 5 bint laboon. No, you can do both. You can do both. Wallah, you can do both. Okay. Oh, subhanallah, I actually had a paper. Oh, I think it's upstairs. Shaykh Haytham Sarhan actually wrote down a number of, like, I took out the paper. He just wrote down different random numbers and he goes, work it out. So I'm going to make you guys do it now as well. So, should I make up my own numbers or should I give you the same numbers he gave? 7 numbers? Right, if you give me a minute, I'll go get that paper. A minute. Okay, what to do? Let's just finish off the cows. Right, and the cows and buffalo, same thing. So look, below 30 you don't give it. 30 to 39, 1 tabi'ah, 40 to 59, 1 musanna, 60 to 69, 2 tabi'ah. After that, for every 30 a tabi'ah and every 40 a musanna. Slightly different. So here, for the camels it was 40 and 50. No, for the cows it's 30 and 40. But the principle is the same. Okay? Okay. What you guys do, because we finished Kitab al-Zakah, by the way. Khalas, finished. Simple, we finished. What I want you guys to do is just go over this chart, try to learn it as much as you can. I'll be back in a couple of minutes with that sheet and I'll give you the same numbers. Just quickly, let me just read this part. I don't think I read this part. It says, the following are not taken for zakah. So basically, the following are not taken for zakah. A male goat. You don't give a goat because it can't like reproduce and give birth. So you don't really give that. Old and weak, deficient, nor the worst of the wealth. You basically give, you could give a good healthy one, something that would benefit. Okay? Nor an abnormally thin or weak or in labor pains or eats too much. Nor the best ones. Even if you got a really good animal, you don't give it. The Prophet sent Mu'adh to Yemen, he said, وَإِيَّاكَ وَكَرَائِمَ أَمْوَالِهِمْ. When he talked about zakah, he said, beware of taking the best wealth. So look, Islam's not going to oppress someone by taking the best. Let's say you got a camel, and it's like the best camel ever. Yeah, it's not even allowed for you to give that camel a zakah. Right? So you're not going to think, it's my best camel, I don't want to give it. If you want to give it a sadaqah, that's up to you. No one's going to force you for sadaqah. Yeah. Now, okay, you guys start revising, and I will be back in a couple of minutes, inshallah. She camels. Because it's all bint. I don't mind, it's for all of them. Some of them. Okay, right. Everyone either get a piece of paper or find some space. I'm going to give you these numbers. Write them down, inshallah, okay? And I want you guys to work it out. He's not giving me that many, he's going to give... Okay, khalas. Firstly... How do you know? It is, it's 40 million, the first one. 40 million, it was pounds, 40 million pounds. This is the number one. So work here on the currency. That's the first one, 40 million pounds. So not animals. You did, yeah, he gave one normal one, so let's try to work that one out. Okay? 40 million pounds. How much zakat would he give him 40 million pounds? Okay. The second one, you have 49 sheep. He didn't write pounds, but I did pounds. But it's no. And the next one is 9 sheep. Okay. The next one is 106. So now we're going to move on to camels. 169 camels. The next one is 207 camels. 207. The first one 169. The second one was 207. The next one 199. Yeah, all camels. Yeah. 99, all camels. He does give us a couple with the normal money, one sheep. The rest are all camels now. 199. Next one is 355. The next one is 229. The next one is 777. So 777. The next one is 999. The next one is 267. Okay, that's all he gave, but let me give you some big numbers now. He didn't give any for cows. If you know how to work it out with camels, the cows is the exact same, just change the numbers. So. Sorry? You got it? Okay, that's all he gave. I'll make up some numbers now. So let's do 921. Yeah, all camels. 921. And then 1075. Okay. Now I'll give you a few cows. So now we're going to move on to cows, okay? So the cows is for every 30 at-tabi' and for every 40 musanna. So I won't give you that many. Let's see how first one is 150. The next one is 199. 364. 438. 438. And then 120. Actually, one more. I'll give you one more. 360. Right. The way I want you guys to do it is, so when you're doing it, have 3 columns. The first one is the amount. So that's the numbers I just gave you. The second column will be the answer that you guys get. Then on the third one, have waqs. Waqs is the remainder. So if there is a remainder, write down how much the remainder would be. For example, if you're doing camels, and let's say we did, let's say 155. It would be 3 hiqqas, and how much waqs? 5. You get it? Yeah? Okay. Go on with it. I'll give you 10-15 minutes. 10 minutes should be enough, inshallah. You can discuss, you can talk, yeah? There's money in it. But for 40 million is not reaching the nisab. But what's reaching the nisab? No, you include the nisab. So if there's a nasab 1,000, you got 1,100. You're not paying zakat just £100. You're giving the whole thing. First guy wouldn't, second guy would. Yeah. 40 million is 4 with 7 zeros. So again, look, the columns, 3 columns. The first column will have the number that I just gave you, it's 199 or whatever it is. The second column is the answer. Is it 3 hiqqas, 10 hiqqas, what is it? And last column is waqs. What's the extra? So what's the remainder? Which is languages? Alright, look, apparently there's 19 questions. We need to make it 20. So I'll give you a nice easy one, 200. 200 cows. Okay, you guys done it? Right. Okay, the first one, 40 million. 1 million. With working at 2.5%, the easy way to do it is to divide by 40. Any number you got, just divide by 40. That's 2.5%. Okay, then we had, what was it, 49 sheep? Okay, so how much was zakah would you give? 1 sheep. How much waqs? 9. Then 9 sheep, how much zakah? No zakah. How much waqs? Nothing here. If it was 9 camels, then we 1 sheep with 4 waqs. Okay. Then we had 169. 4 bint laboon. How much waqs? 9. Then 207. Either 4 hiqqa or 5 bint laboon with 7 waqs. 199. 3 hiqqa, 1 bint laboon. Quickly. 355. 7 hiqqa. 229. 2 hiqqa, 3 bint laboon. 777. 13 hiqqa, 3 bint laboon. 999. 90 hiqqa, 1 bint laboon. 267. Okay, what was after that? I don't know anything right after that. 921. What's the answer? 16 hiqqa and 3 bint laboon. Okay, what have you got, Riyadh? Wait. You got, what did you get? 18 hiqqa and 21 remaining. You can't have, it can only be 9 remaining. The waqts can only be 9. The waqts can only be 9. Okay. What's the next one? Everyone cows now? No, wait. 1,075 camels. 19 hiqqa and 3 bint laboon. 19 hiqqa, 3 bint laboon. Okay. Now cows. What's the first one? 150 cows. So what would you do? 5 tabi', yeah. Then next number? 199. 5 tabi', 1 musinna. That could work. Or 4 musinna. I want tabi', that would work as well. Okay, next number? 364. Okay. 9 musinna or 12 tabi'. Good. Next one? 400 I don't have it written down, so I'm working out my head as well. 438. So what's the answer? What was the number again? 438. So you could do. Qasim, what was the answer? 4 musinna and 9 tabi'. Okay, you got 13 tabi' and 1 musinna. Okay. No, you can't have 13 remaining, 9 remaining. 1,017. So you'll work out to 1,010. Oh, 100, okay, 1,070, okay. No, you can't do that. So if you had, we talk about cows, yeah? Okay, so if you had 1,070. 1,070 would be, Qasim? Oh, camels. Let's go back to camels then. 1,070, you would do, good. Yeah, so you would do 19 hiqqa and 3 bint laboon, yeah? That's 1,070. So this rule of 9 waqs, you can always hit it. and then the remainder will be 9. You're not allowed anything more than 9. Okay? If you've got a different answer, that means you've done it wrong. Just go work it out a different way. Obviously, the bigger the number, the more difficult it gets. What's the easier? You got a formula. And then it just repeats. Yeah. 110, 190, then it just repeats, yeah. Alright, any left?
Yeah.
What's left?
120 cows.
120 cows, that's easy. Either 3 musanna or 4 tabir. And that would add just times by 3. Then that would just easy. So either the answer is? Either 9 musanna or 12 tabir. Okay. Khalas. I think you got hang of the numbers. You got hang of the numbers or no? Yusuf? It's fine. Don't worry. You'll just revise it, inshallah, and you'll work out the numbers for the. Yeah. I'm putting random numbers on the test. Yeah. If somebody's written out all these properly and neatly, send it to me. I'll send it in the group as well, so everyone can have the answers with them. Inshallah. Okay. What I want you guys to do for next lesson is obviously learn all of this that we just took, and just do the zakat questions. Also do revise salah and wudu. I'll be honest, it's quite weak today. On the questions, it's quite weak. And next lesson will just be a revision lesson. Meaning, we'll revise zakah, we'll do the questions of zakah, we'll also revise wudu, and we'll also revise salah as well. So it'll just be a revision. And next week we'll start. I was thinking instead of doing fasting, because it's Hajj season, let's do Hajj. And then we'll come back to fasting after that. Yeah? So next week we'll do Hajj, inshallah. Okay? So make sure Thursday, revise everything and do the questions, and next week we'll do Hajj, inshallah. Okay. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Don't throw pens again. Shouldn't throw pens and books. You shouldn't throw pens and books. Pens and books you shouldn't be throwing. Yeah. Your brother's right.